Hey, what is up, Cardinals Nation? I'm Brad. This is the first episode of Cards and Coffee. And this is just something new I'm trying out. We'll see how it works out. Love to have you guys comment in the chat, see what's going on, see how everybody's doing. But I'm going to try to hit this every Wednesday about 9 a.m., and we're going to discuss different things. And as you guys can tell by the title, this is called a sticky situation. So let's see if you guys can guess what it is that we're going to talk about today, because my goodness. That's my cup of coffee. If you have a cup of coffee, grab one. Join me. Let's dig in. This won't take very long. But first of all, let me talk a little bit about last night. Hey, good morning, Patty. Last night, I was playing softball, so I didn't get a chance to watch the game. But it looks like the Cardinals walked it off in the bottom of the ninth. And not just the Cardinals, it was Paul Goldschmidt that hit a walk-off home run. And if I'm not mistaken, that walk-off home run went to right center field, which to me is a good sign. So what I'm going to say on that is if Paul Goldschmidt starts driving the ball to right center, right field, watch out, he's about to heat up. So hopefully he's going to start heating up, which will help boost the rest of this lineup. So that's it for that. So let's see here. A couple days ago, I was scrolling through Twitter, as I do in my downtime, which I have a lot of sometimes, and I came across a retweet by Ben Fredrickson, and it was of a SI article, and it was about this man here. His name is, what is his name? Bubba Hankins, or Bubba Harkins is what they call him. I don't know his full name, but he was fired in 2020 at the beginning of the year, and the reason he was fired was he was the very first person to take the fall for this new sticky substance thing that has been going on with Major League Baseball. He said that basically that one morning he said he was called into the office. He said, "Billy, you're firing me over something that's all over your clubhouse right now." And he said, Billy, who is the owner, didn't say a thing. He just got up and left the lawyer there. And so right now, Bubba is currently involved in a lawsuit with Major League Baseball and the Angels about whether or not he was wrongfully terminated and what he did was wrong. But basically how the story goes is, and he named some pretty big names in here, and the first one here, he says, "Hey, Bubba, it's Garrett Cole." And these are messages that Bubba shared with the Sports Illustrated. Let me give you guys the name of the author before we get too far in it. It's Stephanie Epstein and Alex Pruitt. Epstein? I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing her name right. And Alex Pruitt. They wrote this article, and Bubba shared these text messages with them. And the first big name that come up was Garrett Cole, and he said this was in January of 2019. He said, "I was wondering if you could help me out with this sticky situation," along with a winking emoji. The stuff I had last year seizes up when it gets cold. Can you come up with, or do you have a mix that will play better in cold weather? And he said the only thing you can do is put more tar in it and less Moda Stick. So if you guys are wondering what the sticky stuff he was making, it was pine tar and Moda Stick. And you guys all know what pine tar is, but what Moda Stick is something like this. It's basically just you see the stick that they rub on the bat when they go up. So anyway, he chops it up, puts it in there, heats it up, and mixes it with pine tar at a certain ratio. I don't know what that ratio is, but part of me wants to get some of this stuff and try it out and see what difference it makes and what it's like to throw with it versus throwing without it. But basically what has happened in Major League Baseball is that they have had a huge problem because for the most part, Major League Baseball has looked the other way, right? Harkins basically is complaining because he says if they did an investigation and I'm the only one that they found, they did a terrible investigation. So what that tells me, and I don't know what you guys think here, but what that tells me is that Major League Baseball likes to have cheaters because it makes their sport more exciting sometimes, but they don't like to get caught having cheaters. Does that make sense? So like back whenever the home run race was going on between Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa and the whole steroid era, Major League Baseball knew. They knew, and don't trust anybody who said that they didn't know. But they liked it because ratings went way up and people were very, very excited to watch baseball. You know, it was an exciting time. If you're from St. Louis, you know the good time we had watching Mark McGwire smash home runs and Sammy Sosa chase him, and then Mark McGwire win that home run race to 62 and all that sort of stuff. So ratings for baseball went through the roof, which was great for baseball because baseball was coming off a really bad strike and was really limping along until that home run race. That a lot of people will tell you, a lot of baseball people will tell you that home run race is what basically saved baseball. Now, I don't know if baseball would have just gone away completely, but it wouldn't be what it is today. And baseball's still battling the NFL and to a lesser degree the NBA for popularity among young people, because baseball isn't, by its nature, a consistently exciting sport. Football happens, there's action, there's action, there's action, there's action, there's action, and that's what makes it entertaining. Well, baseball isn't like that, right? Pitcher throws a ball, umpire calls strike, ball, whatever. If the batter doesn't swing, then the pitcher gets the ball back, he steps off, the batter steps out, you know, there's a big old break, and then there's a batted ball, and then there's some action. Well, baseball likes anything that makes the games more exciting. So home runs and launch angle. And the other thing is strikeouts, right? People love strikeouts. So this article goes on to say that pitchers have been doctoring the ball for more than a century, but over the past 2 or 3 years, they've gotten really good at it. And I will go through some of the stuff. I've looked up some of the stuff that they use. And basically what they're saying is that this started out just simply as grip enhancement, right? When it gets cold or whenever the weather's bad, it's hard to grip a baseball. Baseball can get slick, and what pitchers want is control, right? You don't want people hitting people in the face, which is what happened with Genesis Cabrera hitting Bryce Harper in the face. You don't want that, right? You don't want players getting hit by the baseball. But you also don't want it to go too far, right? So what started out as grip enhancement, which was a sunscreen mixed with league-issued rosin, you know, that bag that the pitcher hits on his arm. You know, put some sunscreen on, smack the rosin bag on your arm, mix it up, you get a little paste, it's a little sticky, helps you get a better grip on the ball. You know, I think that people were okay with that. But as this technology of pitch tracking has come along and that sort of thing, pitchers and staff started experimenting, right? And they started applying different things together and what types of things would help them get a better grip. There's an increased focus on the spin rate, right? Backspin on a fastball makes it harder to hit. More spin on a slider makes it slide more. More spin on a curveball makes it curve more. Those sort of things. Well, if you get stickier grip on the ball, you can make it spin more when you throw it. So higher spin rate, bigger break, right? So over the course of this time, the offense has cratered. It's gone poorly. And if you look at the Cardinals, that's a great example of it because they beat the Marlins 2-1. Now, I'm not accusing the Marlins of using sticky stuff, but if, you know, it came out that the Marlins were using sticky stuff, I mean, I'm not going to be surprised. I'm not going to be surprised if anybody in the major leagues gets caught using sticky stuff because it seems to have been the league norm. That's kind of the thing. And now the league has decided it's going to crack down on this, right? And this all started right after Giovanni Gallegos had to lose his hat when Joe West came out and said, hey, no, change your hat. You got something on the bill. Well, then Mike Schilt had that post-game interview, that post-game press conference, and he basically he took everything and set it out in the open, right? He's like, everybody's been doing it. He goes, I'm not sure. He goes, if you're going to enforce it consistently or don't enforce it at all. And basically MLB has been kind of enforcing it, but not really enforcing it. You know, Trevor Bauer's been screaming about this for a long time. And finally he's like, look, I'll just prove it to you. And anybody who watched that LA game, he was digging into his glove a little more. And that was right after Mike Schilt had that press conference. So now Major League Baseball realizes they got a problem on their hands because the offense across the league is cratering, and bad offense makes for bad baseball, and bad baseball is not entertaining to watch. John Boy said this about the Yankees. He said, whatever the Yankees are doing, it's not entertaining to watch. It's boring. And you can't have that in baseball, right? You need to have action. So now baseball's like, hey, let's start cracking down on this, which makes them look incredibly hypocritical because they weren't cracking down on it before. And I don't think anybody's going to come out of this looking good. I think they're all going to look bad. I think pitchers are going to look bad for cheating. I think that Major League Baseball is going to look bad because they're going to look like the person's like, yeah, you can do that. And then whenever everybody started watching them, they're like, no, you can't do that. Don't you dare do that. Shame on you guys. And, they're going to get all moral and whatnot. And so we'll get into the memo that they released and what they've outlawed and stuff like that. But let's get back to this article. Bubba says that basically he said Troy Percival is essentially the one that taught him how to make the stuff that he was making. He said so he asked Percival asked him for a can of soda and then immediately poured the contents out in the sink, and he's like, what are you doing? And he says, I'm going to make some stuff for my fingers. So Percival asked him for a utility knife, rosin, liquid pine tar, and motor stick. And then he showed him how to saw the can's lid off, combine the ingredients, and use a lighter to heat the contents and to melt it. And then he poured it into a little tin to harden. And he says it's like taking ketchup and mayo and making Thousand Island. Well, I got some news for you, buddy. It's ketchup, mayo, and pickle relish. Anyway, that's what Thousand Island dressing is. Don't at me. So Harkins said now that the 3 simple ingredients that every clubhouse has, it's stuff that you can find in the clubhouse. No crackdown on the Astros. Exactly, Rob. So anyway, Harkins said he never made. He saw it in 1990. He saw Percival make it, watched Percival make it. Percival taught him how to make it, but he didn't do anything with it. He never made it. It was always Troy Percival. Well, in 2005, Troy Percival got traded to, or went to the Detroit Tigers. Yeah, here it is. In 2005, Percival left for the Detroit Tigers, and the pitchers on the Angels staff are like, hey, we want that stuff that Troy was making because it's really useful to us. And so he's like, can you make it? And they're like, sure. Well, in 2005, Troy Percival's in Detroit. Do you guys know anybody else famous that was in Detroit in 2005? There's 2 guys, I bet. At least one, and later on 2 guys that you'll know, 2 big names. The first name that's going to come to mind is Justin Verlander, right? Justin Verlander. And guess who later on texts, yeah, Kenny too. Yeah, wonder if this stuff was what was on Kenny Rogers' hands whenever he was throwing. That's Kenny Rogers, right? Anyway, remember that in the World Series when the Cardinals were facing the Tigers and he had that big smudge on his hand, and people were like, what is this? He's very clearly cheating. Bet you dollars to donuts it was this stuff. But also, Justin Verlander was there. And Max Scherzer played for the Tigers. So, after Percival left Detroit, and I don't know if he retired or whatever, Verlander approached Harkins during a road trip. So Harkins' job was basically to take care of the visiting team when they came to the Angels clubhouse, or the Angels stadium. It was his job to make them happy. And that's important because we'll get into that a little bit later. So remember that. Hold on to that in the back of your head. So Percival left and then had shown like Verlander and the Tigers pitching staff this stuff. And he said, hey, you know how to make it. Can you make me some? And of course, right here, Verlander did not respond to request for comments. Can you blame him? So anyway, this thing then goes viral. It spreads throughout the league, and all sorts of different people. So it says here that Harkins mostly stuck to Percival's recipe, and he never measured any of the ingredients. He said it was just eyeball this, eyeball that. He said, like somebody who knows how to make great buttermilk biscuits but doesn't have anything to write. I think this guy would be a great interview, don't you guys? I think he'd be awesome. I wish I knew how to get a hold of him. But, so remember when I said that he takes care of the visiting players at the clubhouse? This is how he got paid, right? He didn't get paid a lot from the Angels, and he existed a lot on the tips from the other players. So they often tipped him $100 per 10. So let me get through this a little bit farther. Down here, you see that Bubba Max needs 2 batches, please. Said one text, which came from National staff member in February 2017. So Max being Max Scherzer, because he's the only Max on the roster. And so notice here, too, that he says that it came from a national staffer's number. So that means that this is what they said down here. It's a systemic issue. It's not just an individual issue. It's not just pitchers doing it. It's the staff. It's the system saying, hey, use this stuff so you pitch better. So then another one was, I think it's Tyler Chatwood. He said that's when he was with the Cubs in 2018. You think we can get some of your stuff sent over for us? And then a follow-up is that the stuff Verlander is using? Guys, everybody was using it and cheating. And this is the one that kind of broke my heart right here. Bubba, this is Adam Wainwright. That makes me sad. That makes me real sad because, Wainwright seems to be a stand-up guy. He said, Bubba, this is Adam Wainwright. Can I give you a call? Sent a text from a phone number associated with the Cardinals righty in April 2019. 5 days later, a new message pinned from Wainwright's phone. Got it. It said, thanks, very thick stuff, ! And then more text came from Wainwright's phone that June. Hey, Bubba, a couple guys asking about some secret stuff. Anyway, can you send a couple batches with the Angels when they come? And that was, when was that? You guys remember that was when Albert Pujols made his return. And so at that time, Adam Wainwright was getting it. Now, Adam Wainwright when this article was written, Wainwright did not respond to requests for comments, but he did eventually respond to it. He said, yeah, I tried it for 6 games. He said I didn't like it. But here's the one thing. This is what I caught. So a Venmo account labeled with the name Adam Wainwright sent Harkins $300 writing that the money was for kale salad and beans. Now, why would somebody say it was for kale salad and beans? What does that tell you? And I'll tell you what that tells me. That tells me that he knew it was wrong, right? He knew this was illegal. He knew this was cheating, but he did it anyway. Now, let me give a little deference to Adam, and I'm not going to say that this was right of him to do. But what I will say is I can understand why he would think that he would want to do it, or at least want to try it, right? So imagine you're Adam Wainwright, and you're getting up in your years, and you're watching all these younger guys, and they're having all this success, and you're like, and this is kind of what Trevor Bauer was saying. He goes, this was Trevor Bauer's argument. These guys are out here cheating, and nobody's doing anything about it, and I've got to compete against them, right? So your livelihood is based on your effectiveness, and your effectiveness is looking worse because these other guys are cheating. It's the same thing whenever guys are using steroids. How many guys didn't get the call up to the majors because guys like Ken Caminiti and all the other steroid users in Major League Baseball were juicing and therefore hitting more home runs, and these other guys were kind of like, I'm doing it the right way, but I can't get called up because when I'm doing it the right way, I can't do it as good as somebody who's enhancing themselves. So you can see that line of thinking in the mind of a baseball player. But whenever you say kale salad and beans, you know that what you're sending the money for is something that you don't want tracked back to you. But at some point, that's pretty obvious. So the transaction occurred the same day that the text was sent from Wainwright's number to Harkins saying that he paid him. So, and maybe he did try it. Maybe he did only use it for six games or so and whatnot. Yeah, exactly, Patty. This is a great point here. Younger years or not, if you can't compete, you're not going to play, and it has to be a terrible position to be in. Right. And to me, that's why I'm not mad at Trevor Bauer, because he's like, guys are cheating because they're getting more spin rate by using sticky stuff. And he was basically calling out Garrett Cole at the time. And he's like, fine. I'm going to use it. He all but said, I'm going to use this stuff, and you're going to watch my spin rates go up. And you're going to watch me become more effective. And that's what he did. So, anyway. So I'm going to get away from this article for a little bit, but the article basically goes on to talk about more pitchers and all this stuff. Some of the names mentioned are Garrett Cole, Troy Percival, Justin Verlander, Adam Wainwright, Max Scherzer, Tyler Chatwood, and a host of others. Rob here says that Bauer would have never been signed by the Dodgers if it weren't for cheating. I don't know. Trevor Bauer was a good pitcher before he cheated. He may not have gotten the money that he got from the Dodgers if he wasn't using the sticky stuff. But that was also part of the point he was making. You know, that's why he went after Garrett Cole, because Garrett Cole was, when those text messages in this article took place, that was when Cole was with Houston. And Cole was pitching in Houston. So that was before Cole signed that huge contract with the Yankees. And also, who was in Houston at the same time? Justin Verlander. So you can watch how this sort of thing spreads like almost virally through the league. I hate to use that term, but almost virally. These players talk to one another and they know they know what they're using, and they share these secrets and stuff like that. They know. And so that's how this stuff spreads, right? It wasn't like this Bubba guy started advertising Bubba's secret sticky stuff, you know? Ew. Anyway, Bubba, he wasn't advertising the sticky stuff to these pitchers. They were coming to him because it was word of mouth, and they were tipping him. And so, like, later on in the article, they ask him, it's like, well, why were you helping out opposing teams? He's like, the opposing teams are the ones who tip me. Those are the ones I got to take care of. He goes, if you make them mad, they don't tip you, and that cuts your salary way down, because these guys subside on tips. That's what they rely on for their income. So he's just trying to make these guys happy. So I don't fault Bubba for this. But, you know, as I've researched into this stuff that he was making, this pine tar, Moda stick, rosin mix, was more of a grip thing and less of a spin enhancement thing. But then, have you guys heard of Spider Tack? Well, Spider Tack is kind of like the new thing that they're using, and this is what it is here. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but it says Spider Tack is a super sticky paste for improving grip on Atlas stones. It comes in heavy, competition grade, which is the original, and light. So Spider Tack was developed for, you know, that World's Strongest Man competition with those huge guys, and then one of the things they got to do is pick up those rocks and set them on the pillars. Those rocks are called Atlas stones, and this is a grip that they created to help those guys get a hold of those rocks so they could lift them up on there. Well, lo and behold, guess what it's good at? It's good at giving you a grip on a baseball. So they put it in their glove or on their hat or whatever. They get a little bit and they grab a hold of that ball. Now, here's one of the interesting things. Competition grade is the original Spider Tack. It's the most versatile and it'll work great both in cold and heat. And Spider Tack Heavy is a thicker, more viscous Spider Tack, slightly less webby. So if you're using Spider Tack and you're using the competition grade, which I suspect Spider Tack Light is the one that they're using if they're using Spider Tack. But when they say it's webby, that means you stick your hand on it and you pull off and there's like strings running off of it. And there's stories of that. Go back and watch John Boy's video on this after Mike Schultz rant. He did a video on it. He did a breakdown of it. And he's talking about how like you can hear the ball ripping off of guys' fingers from the sticky stuff. You know, like when you peel tape or a Band-Aid off that sound. He says you can hear it when they're throwing. So these guys are cheating, and so they're going to have to use this. So if you're interested in getting Spider Tack, you can get it online at Amazon. It's only $72 a jar. Good grief. I was interested because I was like, oh, if this stuff isn't expensive, I'm going to get some, and we're gonna do an experiment. We're going to video it and throw it up on our YouTube and our Facebook pages just for more views. But anyway, these guys have been using Spider Tack, They've advanced to using Spider Tack. Some of these other guys are making their own stuff, and it's more and more and more and more becoming about getting a better spin on the ball, right? So, as a matter of fact, there's even this product here that I found during my research. It's called Spin It, and it's a sports gripping spray, better grip for pitching, and it's right here. Curveball, slider, knuckleball, catching and batting, all natural pine rosin, organic aloe tea tree oil. There's your combo right there. This is what it looks like. It's a little spray. That's only $21, and maybe I'll get it because I know Aaron likes throwing. Maybe I'll get it, and we'll get Aaron out there to throw his slider that he was talking about the other night and see if it actually improves it. We'll try the different things, and we'll come up with our own recipes, and we'll do our own little usual suspects and experiment. But anyway, so these guys are using all these things, and so finally Major League Baseball has released this memo. And basically the memo says we're done with foreign substances. Nobody's using it, right? But here's one of the things that disturbs me. Well, there's a couple things that disturb me. One, they're saying we're not going to let you use sunscreen and rosin. And last night, you guys ever watched the Animaniacs? Some of you guys probably my age, and there was a little clip on the Animaniacs that said it's time for another good idea, bad idea. And they do a good idea, and they would say it, and it's like picking up trash off the ground. And then bad idea, or wait, it's just throwing trash in a trash can. Bad idea, throwing trash in your aunt's face or something stupid like that. Just blatantly dumb. Well, Major League Baseball said that they are going to outlaw something, and they kind of wanted to make it clear. And I was like, this is a good idea, you know. Ban it. They said you couldn't use sunscreen at night games, which, yeah, you don't need sunscreen at night games, so that gives you an idea of intent of use. They said you can't use sunscreen when the roof is closed on or playing indoor games. So basically, when the sun's not out and able to burn you, you're not allowed to use sunscreen. So you'll just have rosin, right? Sweat and rosin, and that's what you'll have. But then the other thing that they said is what it's going to be is up to the umpire's discretion to determine intent. That is a bad idea. You either make it illegal or you don't. You need very hard to find lines about what is legal and what isn't, because then you're going to have a whole mess of fights and arguments about how can you determine intent? How can you prove intent? He intended to use this to cheat. How do you know he didn't intend to use it to keep the sun from burning him and so he wouldn't have like skin cancer later on in his life? This is a terrible idea as far as that goes. But there's one other thing in this article here that I got from NBC Sports that talks about the MLB memo, and I don't know if NBC Sports got this wrong, and or if Major League Baseball got it wrong. If Major League Baseball got it wrong, this is really bad. But it says it will ban a sunscreen and rosin combination known as Spider Tack. Now, it took me 5 minutes to Google search Spider Tack and find out what it is and where to get it. And you know what it's not? It's not sunscreen and rosin. So either NBC Sports didn't do their research, which is possible, or Major League Baseball is severely behind the curve and they really don't know what they're doing with this, and this is going to be really, 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 really bad. So what ends up happening now is if you get caught using a foreign substance with the ball, the umpires are supposed to check in between innings. You're going to get a 10-game ban if you use it. It also says that if it's found on a ball that you're using, right? So you've never cheated in your life, but the guy who pitches before you does, and then you go out there and you start throwing the same ball that he has, guess what? You're responsible for it. So if you notice it on the ball, you're supposed to throw that ball out and get a new ball. So so the umpires will be expected to check for foreign substances between innings, and the policy states that pitchers are responsible even if their teammates who load up balls, even if it's their teammates who load up balls, and also notes that teams won't be able to replace their suspended players. So your pitcher gets caught cheating, he's gone for 10 games, you can't replace him on the roster. So MLB's really going to crack down on this, but I don't know how anybody's going to come out of this looking good, and this is also going to be very interesting. So I'm kind of going to wind it down here. I just noticed we've been up for about 30 minutes, and that's all the longer I want to go, but I'm just going to wind it down here. I don't know how this is going to end, and I don't know what this means for the upcoming CBA bargaining, right? This is going to be a, no pun intended here, sticking point for Major League Baseball. My thoughts are this. Don't cheat. Don't cheat, right? If it's illegal, don't use it. But if Major League Baseball is worried about this is one solution that I can see. I come from a racing background. Just over here, I have a bunch of racing trophies and stuff like that. One of the things that happens at all races, and even at NASCAR and Formula One level, they have what they call a post-race inspection. So you win the race, top three the podium finish cars. So the top three, you win the race, you immediately go to inspection, and then officials from NASCAR or FIA, I think it's FIA, the Formula One, they inspect your car. They weigh it to make sure you're within weight regulations. They look for anything that is, if your spoiler's too tall or anything that is out of regs. And if it's out of regs, boom, you're penalized right then and there. You're fined. You lose the podium. You lose the win. The next guy up. So everybody moves up a spot. They can do that in Major League Baseball, right? You hire one guy whose job it is to inspect pitchers after their inning and in between each inning or after their outing, right? So a pitcher goes out, throws 5 innings, immediately comes off and goes to, not to his dugout, but to the inspection room, and they inspect him, right? You look on the neck, on the back of the pants, and the hat, and the hair. Look around, find the foreign substance, and then dish out this penalty. That's what I would do. I would hire somebody who was specifically for that. I don't think you can do a thorough inspection in between each games, and it might be a little demeaning for pitchers to have to kind of like strip their shirt off or whatever, but they go into the locker room and get naked anyway in front of all the other guys and take showers. So they'll be fine. They're grown men. They're getting paid a lot of money. But you do a post-outing inspection. And then the other thing is, too, if you find that pitchers aren't controlling the ball or something like that, then you, like they do with the baseball, right? You guys know that with the baseball, every Major League Baseball is rubbed down, and it's rubbed down with a certain mud from a certain location that's kept really secret, and it's rubbed down the certain way to give the ball a little extra texture. Major League Baseball controls that very tightly, so Major League Baseball can create and control a substance a pitcher can use to have a little better grip, not so much spin enhancing, but control issue, better grip that they would issue to Major League teams, and that is the only substance they're allowed to use. If you give them that, if that becomes an issue. But bottom line, you've got to cut this out because baseball is boring watching just pitchers pitch. It's not going to be exciting to people. People like to see bat flips, home runs, weird skip hops at third base, and whatever else these young kids are doing now. But they want to see people having fun, and watching guys strike out it'll get old really fast. But the reason Major League Baseball is in trouble is because they have looked the other way for so long. And this is going to hammer them. So I don't believe anybody's going to come out of this looking good. This is going to be one of those things that's going to blow up, right? You're not going to have a bad guy because everybody's going to be the bad guy. Major League Baseball is going to look terrible for letting this go because they knew it was happening. There's no argument you can make that they didn't know. So they knew, and they just let it go because it wasn't brought to the forefront. Joe West taking Giovanni Gallego's hat and Mike Schilt losing his stuff in the post-game interview might have been the match that lit this fuse. And so this is about to blow up in everybody's face. I'm really sad that Adam Wainwright got caught up in this, that he was part of this issue. If he owns up to it and takes responsibility. And Rob, you said that he went on MLB Network yesterday, I think is what you said. Yeah, he went on MLB Network yesterday and claimed that he's never cheated, and that upset you more than the fact that he did it. It was that he lied about it. The quote that I heard, he said he used it for about 6 games and decided he didn't like it. Okay. I don't know how many starts you make, but that's not a majority of the starts you make in Major League Baseball. if you tried it and didn't like it, fair enough. Admit that you did it and move on. Say you're sorry. I'll forgive you. I'm a forgiving person. But that did hurt my heart whenever I saw he was on that. Which means that other Cardinals pitchers are using it if Adam Wainwright used it. So get ready, buckle up. But I don't think that it's going to be anything like unique to the Cardinals. So Major League Baseball is going to look bad. Pitchers are going to look bad. So Major League Baseball is going to look bad for looking the other way. Pitchers are going to look bad for cheating because nobody likes a cheater. We really don't like cheaters nowadays. And then they're going into the CBA, which they're going to start arguing and fighting. This is going to be something they're going to argue and fight over, and people are going to be mad at both sides of it. Right? So the group that generally wins is the one that wins the heart and minds of the fans. And this puts both groups, players and owners and Major League Baseball, behind the 8 ball when it comes to this collective bargaining agreement. It's going to be a lot like the spat that they had last year before coronavirus about how are we going to get paid and how are we doing this. That's a bad fight to have in public whenever people are out of work. This is going to be similar to that. Whenever they start having this fight, people are they're not going to want to hear about these poor pitchers who are getting huge salaries but cheated to get them, trying to get more money from owners who have billions of dollars. We don't want to hear about the arguments of millionaires and billionaires fighting over money. We just aren't going to want to hear it. So hopefully they can get the CBA sorted out quietly. That would be my recommendation. If you're a player and you come across this video and you somehow make it to the end, talk to your union leaders. Do not let this thing go public on these discussions. It will make everybody look bad. Go behind closed doors, throw your bombs at one another, fight it out, but don't let us find out about it. There are some people that are out there who are going to take sides, but the vast majority of people who buy tickets are going to be disgusted by both of you, and they're just going to put their money back in their wallet and go spend it elsewhere. So that's all I have for you guys. Keep an eye on this situation. Cardinals play at 12:15 today. I don't think that they've released the roster yet, or I'm sorry, the lineup. If they would have released it, I would have given it to you. But keep an eye on this story. Things are going to get big. They're going to blow it up. And I can't help but think that it's Joe West lighting the match and throwing it on the gasoline as he's walking away from Major League Baseball in his final year as an umpire. Be like, hey, guys, watch me go out with a bang, so to speak. Ever the showman, Joe West. But thanks for joining me. If you liked this video, we got a ton up on YouTube. Well, we don't have a ton up on YouTube. We have a ton up on Facebook. We're starting to build our YouTube library. Pop on over to YouTube. Give us a like and subscribe over there. Click the notification bell so you know whenever we go live. You can give me a follow on Twitter @RangeBrad. This is me, @RangeBrad. You can follow Aaron on Twitter @AaronMSTL. You can follow the Mutual Suspects on Twitter @mutual_suspects. And you can go over to Facebook if you're watching on a different platform and give us a like over there. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/Mutual Suspects. I'm Brad, guys. Thanks for joining me on the very first episode of Cards and Coffee. Have a great day. Have a great rest of your day. Talk to you later.